What's going on, you guys? It's Cody. Welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be a little bit different than what I normally talk about here on the channel, which is moving to Salt Lake City, Utah, or any of the surrounding areas. This video is actually going to be directed to those of you who are already living in Utah and want to sell your home. I'm going to give you the exact steps that you need to know in order to make this possible. Now, I don't want to waste any time, so I'm just jumping right into it, but I do have one disclaimer here that I want to talk about first. Obviously, I am a real estate agent that lives and works here in Utah, and I would love to help you, but I'm not saying that I have to help you. That's not my intention with this video. I'm really just trying to give you the tips and the plan that you need in order to successfully sell your home in Utah. Now, whether that means that you're going to sell it on your own or you're going to hire an agent, whether that might be myself or somebody else, it doesn't matter. This general plan is going to be what you want to follow as far as the general steps for getting your home sold here in Utah. So, like I said, this isn't a sales video. I'm not trying to do that to you. I'm just trying to give you a plan and what you should prepare for, whether you do end up listing with an agent, selling it yourself, or maybe going with like a flat fee listing service. So let's jump right in. Number one, you need to have a plan. You need to have a plan about where you're gonna go, why you're selling the home, and what you're gonna do about it, right? This is a very stressful process and there's a lot that's involved with this process. So you wanna know, one, probably why you're selling, right? Maybe you need a bigger home, maybe you need a smaller home, maybe you need to move locations because of work or family. You wanna figure that out so you can kind of have some guidance around what's leading you to actually sell your home, and then, possibly jump back into the market and, buy something else or rent or move out of state or whatever that may look like for you. So you wanna have a plan. Next, you kind of need to figure out what you're looking for, right? Maybe you have a 2,000 square foot home and you want to move up to a 3,000 square foot home. You want to know what that actually looks like, again, so you can have a little bit of guidance as to what direction you want to take this process. In addition to that, you also need to figure out where you want to go. Maybe you're moving across the street, maybe you're moving to another city, or maybe you're even moving out of state. Again, this is going to just guide you in that general direction that you want to go. Next, the second thing that I would recommend is you want to get an idea of what your home is actually worth. Now, you can go onto websites like Zillow or Redfin, and they'll give you some type of estimate as to what the home's actually worth. But I would recommend honestly reaching out to a real estate agent who can help you with this service. They shouldn't charge you anything, and don't let them sell you on, listing the house with them. Just say, hey, can I pay you 50 bucks or 100 bucks for you to do a mini appraisal on this home? We call it comps here in the business, which stands for comparable homes, which is how appraisals and the market value of what homes are worth is actually determined around. So if somebody were to approach me and said, hey, Cody, I don't need your help. I just want you to do like an appraisal for me, or not an official appraisal, but like a comparable analysis, right? Is that something you do for me? I'd say, yeah, you pay me 50 bucks or 100 bucks or something, and I'd probably consider doing that, right? It depends on the situation and it depends on the actual agent that's going to do that for you. Some agents will do it, some will do a good job, some will not do a good job. So you kind of got to be careful with it, but you want to make sure that you get somebody who knows what they're doing, who has some experience and might be willing to do that for you. It's worth asking. It's worth the $50 or $100 to actually get that done. Now, if you want to have a full market appraisal done, you can do that. Just be prepared to pay somewhere between $400 and $700 in order to get a full-blown market appraisal, which might be worth it in the end. If you just don't know what your home is worth, you don't want to list it too low and actually not be able to, you don't want to leave money on the table by listing it too low and not getting the full market value for your home. There's going to be a lot of people, as soon as you say, hey, as soon as you put that feeler out there, hey, I want to sell my home, you're going to have a ton of people flood in trying to help you, trying to sell you. Don't let them do that. You want to kind of just take a step back and say, look, here's what I need, and just set the guidelines that that's all you need and that's all you want, right? Even if you go to like Zillow or Redfin or these other services, they're going to say, hey, we'll buy your house, we'll pay you cash right now. Well, that's because they're going to give you a massive discount as to what it's actually worth, and they're not going to give you the full market value. Remember, market value is dependent on what a buyer is willing to buy the property for and what a seller is willing to sell the property for. When those two items line up, that is actually what determines market value, right? So this is how the market value of any item is established. So that's kind of the thing you need to keep in mind when it comes to market value and what your home is actually worth. Try to get a market analysis done by a real estate agent or get a full-blown appraisal done beforehand, because if you price your home correctly, you'll be able to maximize the money that you're going to get out of it. And ultimately, that's what we're here for, right? So that would be the second thing that I would say, is get an idea of what your home is actually worth. Tap into many different sources if you can, and figure out what you can actually sell your home for, so you kind of have an idea. And that's going to lead us right into the next step that you want to take in this process. After you kind of know what your home is worth, you want to figure out how much money you're going to get out of it. Now, you may have a mortgage, you may have a home that's paid off. It doesn't matter, but just kind of get an idea of what fees you're going to have, whether that's selling fees for agent commissions, title fees, title insurance, homeowners payoff, maybe property tax payoff, any liens you might have on the property. Take out any of those things if you have them. Take that off of the sales price that you're expecting to get for the home, subtract out what you have for a mortgage, again, if you have one, and then determine how much money you're gonna actually have left over to be able to put into the next home, or to even just put into your bank account. That money is yours and you can do whatever you want with it at that time. You need to figure this out. So if you have a home that you think is worth $500,000, maybe you're gonna hire an agent in this case, and you're gonna have some title insurance fees. I would say probably plan on about 7% for a rough cost of what this is gonna cost you out the door for all of the selling fees. Then take that and subtract out whatever you owe for a mortgage, and the remainder of that amount is going to be what you're going to put in your pocket. So again, this is kind of just a rough analysis. If you have specific questions about, kind of the selling fees involved and what you can kind of expect, drop a comment down below. I'd love to answer any questions. Again, no sales pitch here. I'm just going to give you an honest opinion as to kind of what you can reasonably expect for these types of payoffs. After you figure that out, I would say, hey, it's time to go get pre-qualified for a new home. If you're kind of on the fence about getting pre-qualified for a new mortgage, you want to make sure that you go and talk to a loan officer at a bank or a credit union or a mortgage broker and say, hey, I want to get qualified for a home. Give them the spiel on what you're, how much money you're expecting to have, what you make, fill out the loan application, and they'll say, okay, great, you're qualified up to this loan amount. And just remember, the loan amount plus the down payment is going to be the final purchase price that you're able to go up to. You don't have to go up to the full price, but that does give you kind of an upper limit as to what you can expect for that. After you get pre-qualified, now we can jump back to the house, and it's finally time to get the house prepped for sale. This is the time that you want to clean, you want to declutter, you want to clean again and declutter some more and sell some stuff and do the garage sale. You want to do that whole process at this point, because now it's the time to actually prep the home for sale. This is when you really want to clean up the house. You want to touch up any paint chips or any any issues with the house. You kind of want to touch those up so when buyers come in, they can see that the home has been well cared for over time. Now, on this note, I always get tons of questions of like, hey Cody, should I update my kitchen, or should I change the floors, or should I paint the house, or should I do these different types of upgrades? And honestly, I always say, well, it depends. It depends on what you're looking to do. Right now in this market, you can do upgrades to the home and you may or may not get your money back. You really kind of need to know what you're doing with this in order for it to make it a wise financial decision. Sometimes you might put $10,000 into the home and you might only get $5,000 back. Other times you might put in $10,000 and you can get $25,000 back in an increased purchase price, right? So it kind of just depends. You kind of need to know what you're doing. I would say, honestly, it comes down to what is your time and your effort worth in trying to upgrade the home. Right now, the market is so hot that you as a seller are in control and you really kind of have all the negotiating power. There's going to be buyers out there who would be willing to buy your home regardless of the condition it's in. Even if it's a hoarder house or even if it's brand new, fully remodeled, there's going to be a buyer for it no matter what. So it always comes down to the price and what somebody's willing to pay for it, right? If you're going to put in $10,000 into the home, but it's going to take you 3 months to get it done and it's going to cause you a bunch of stress and anxiety, and maybe you got to borrow money from mom or dad or from your sister or whatever, I mean, it's probably not worth it if you're only going to get $10,000 or $15,000 back. Even if you got $20,000, it might not be worth it, right? But if you can put in $10,000 and it's only going to take you a month, to maybe do the work, and you kind of enjoy the process and you can get, $25,000 back, then maybe it's worth it, right? Maybe you can make that decision and say, yeah, I want to upgrade my home because this is something that it's actually going to be worth it for me. I would say that for most people, 8 or 9 times out of 10, it's not worth it to do any upgrades. It's better to just clean your home up, leave it as is, and sell it regardless of if you got shag carpet or you have walls that need to be painted. Doesn't matter. Usually for most people, it's better to just leave it as it is, sell it for a little bit lower price, even though you're still going to get full market value for the home and what it's worth in that current condition. Next step, you want to get photos taken. I highly recommend getting professional photos done. Guys, this is a very cheap expense. It's going to cost you anywhere from about $100 to $200 to get professional photos done, and it's going to absolutely change your life. I can't believe how many people I see out there, even who list it with a real estate agent, which, by the way, the real estate agent might pay for the photos for you if you list with one. But if you're listing it on your own, if you're doing for sale by owner or something, you've got to get these photos taken, because I can't tell you how many people I've seen who go to sell a home and they take pictures with their phone and they're like like all over the place and they can't even take a straight picture. The picture's terrible and they're like, look at this tree out in my front yard. I mean, sorry guys, nobody cares about that tree in your front yard. They want to see the house. So get the professional photos done. There's photographers out there who will do it for $100 or $200. You know, just type in my city real estate photographer and there will be an option that comes up. You just got to type that into Google. So definitely recommend doing that. It's going to be the best $100 to $200 you spend in this entire process. Definitely go through that you know, situation, because you don't want to sell your $500,000 home where you can't even put $100 into professional photos. So that's the next step here. Get professional photos taken. It's going to take you anywhere from about, you know, maybe 1 to 3 days to get those photos back. So it's pretty quick actually. Make sure to do it after you get the home clean as well. After you get those photos back, it's time to put together a plan as to how you want to do showings and how you want to actually list the property for sale. Like we've already talked about a little bit, if you're selling it on your own, you might want to put it up on Facebook, or you might want to put it on KSL. If you're going to hire a real estate agent, you know, contact them and say, hey, here's my plan, here's what I want to do. They're going to walk you through all of these steps as well and make sure that you've got every single thing taken care of. So this is going to be up to you as to what you want to do. Either way, you need to come up with a showing plan, because that's the next step here in our process. You need to come up with a showing plan. Right now, the market is so crazy that you're probably going to have a lot of people who want to look at your house. Again, you know, being that we're still kind of in a pandemic here, at least at the time of this recording, I would say, you know, get familiar with where you're at right now and, you know, how many people you expect to come through the home, because you really want to know if it's better to do individual showings or if it's better to do just one giant open house where a lot of people can kind of filter through all at one time. For me, in my opinion, I think it's better to do one giant open house where everybody can kind of just come in all at once. Yeah, it's going to take 2, 3, 4 hours for you to do it. You want to make sure to put your valuables away, of course, either way. But, you know, this is better, in my opinion, just because it's like, hey, you can kind of filter everybody in all in, you know, 2, 3, 4 hours rather than having to do individual showings and be gone throughout the entire day for days on end. Generally, the open house is the better way to go, because you can solicit a higher offer and you can get rid of the showings, or get done with the showings, I should say, in, you know, just a couple of hours and kind of knock it out all in one day. And after that point, you should be ready to start accepting offers. Generally, again, with how the market is right now and how I suspect it will be for at least the next year or two, you should expect to start receiving offers. As long as you've priced the home right and it's in, you know, pretty decent shape, you should start receiving offers very quickly. You should start receiving those offers within, you know, 24 hours, 48 hours, maybe 72 hours after listing the property and actually showing it. So you'll start seeing those offers come in, and then at that point, it's really kind of coming down to deciding on what offer is going to be the best offer for you. So all of that being said, guys, that is the process to selling your home. Like I said, I hope this is helpful for you. I hope that this was just gave you an overall plan as to how to go about selling your home here in Utah. This plan is kind of nationwide. I mean, you can take this plan and implement it regardless of the state that you live in. I'm just using Utah because that's obviously where I live and work as a real estate agent. So with all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.